We're going to kick off and just get right into it with Wendy Bluhm and where she's at with her journey with being a single mom, being raised by a single mom, and just all the abundance that she has in her life right now.
Oh, thanks. So, I have a very unique dynamic in my home. I co-parent with my second ex-husband, and that was motivated the first time we decided to co-parent in the same household, or cohabitate, not co-parent. It's co-parenting by cohabitating. And that was driven by my now 11-year-old. At the time, she was, I think, 6 years old. And she was really struggling with the fact that we went from only seeing her dad every other weekend to seeing her dad week on, week off. And not being able to see me 7 days in a row was like torture to her. So it was every single day, phone calls, bawling her eyes out. Just, it was tumultuous. And I was like, I can't put my child through this. I don't want to deny her dad the right to be a dad. That's not fair. Forgive me, there's some selfish reasons. The inconvenience of having to drop whatever I had planned to do because she's having a meltdown because she misses me was a lot. It was a lot. Like, okay, I have a week off. Really, I don't have a week off. I've got to, be there available to her. At the time she could FaceTime. So I'm seeing her just bright red, tears streaming down her face. It was horrible. So I was like, we had that dynamic. And then, forgive me, but my now 16-year-old was going through puberty, and she was a little bit of a bitch. And she wasn't very nice to her sister, and they shared a room because of finances. And I was like, I need them to have their own room. So I went to him and I was like, look, we need to have a home in which they can each have their own room so that my pubescent teenage daughter could not be so mean to her sister because she has her own space. And then my little one can see her mom on a daily basis. And so we did that, and it worked. It was so amazing. And then I had this little love affair and got married to someone else and had to change that dynamic. That was all me. So I married someone, and that changed our family dynamics. And so we chose to not cohabitate as a result of that marriage. And then after that, my teenage daughter was struggling in tremendous ways. And so my ex-husband and I agreed, once again, it's best for us to be in the same house, that we thrived. And so we moved in together, and it's been 2 years, and it had been just a game changer for us. Every single day I see my children. Even though we are week on, week off, it's my week, 1 week, it's his week, another week, I still get to see them, even if it's not my day. Right. And then we can cover for each other easier when it's week on, week off, because it's not inconvenient if they're like, hey, I'm running a couple of hours late to get home. You're already there. Great. It's not inconvenient for you to have to pick up the kids or whatever. So there's a lot of dynamic there that's really, really helpful. Not everyone can do that. I don't expect anyone to cohabitate with somebody that they chose to not be in a relationship within. However, if you have the kind of relationship that allows for that, it can be a beautiful thing. I also have heard about the nest, I think is what it's called, where you actually have a house that when it's your time with the kids, you live in. And then when it's not your time with the kids, you leave and the other parent comes in. So the kids stay in the same house and the parents. So that was really intriguing to us as well, possibly down the road. But they're getting older, so we may not need to do something like that. Anyway, the dynamic of getting to that, though, my ex-husband hated me for a long time for us not working, for me not being the perfect wife, for not being the perfect mother. I was nothing like his vision of what a mom should be. I was a workaholic. I was, all the things that he didn't find attractive in his version of what a woman should be. And I'm like, I'm such a damn good woman. Like, why can't you just appreciate who I am, you know? And it was just what he was so sure this is what a woman should be, you know, to the point where at one point I actually quit my job, successful, you know, real estate lending. I quit my job to be a stay-at-home mom to save my marriage. A year of that, and nothing changed. It wasn't me being a workaholic. It wasn't. It was just that I was not showing up exactly as he wanted me to. And I was always in a place of, I'm not good enough. And me feeling like I'm not good enough was not the place for me. I would rather push someone away and say, oh yeah, no, I'm done. I want to run than be in a place where someone is giving me the impression or allowing me to say to myself, I'm not enough. So we had that dynamic a lot. And my biggest lesson in the journey with my second ex-husband, biggest lesson was it really wasn't him. It was all in my head. All of the I'm not good enough came from me taking what he said and his actions and tearing myself apart inside my head, because he wasn't the one saying all of the really bad stuff. He was just saying, hey, how come dinner's not ready? Or, hey, you know, you really should work less. I'm the one who said, I'm not showing up for my kids enough. And I'm the one who gave all the extra dialogue to it. He didn't do that. I did that. So when we cohabitated that time when the girls were 6 and 11, or I guess 6 and 12 and 7 and 12, that was the shift. That's what allowed us to cohabitate together and me not feel horrible and me be able to thrive. Was I was like, oh, you don't like that? Oh, well, I'm not here to make you happy. And I didn't have to beat myself up because I wasn't his partner. I wasn't there to make him happy. And so for me, that lesson was, well, what can I do in the next relationship to show up as though, I'm not here to make you happy. I want to be happy with you. Right?
That is such a beautiful thing. Lots of stuff came up. Leigh-Anne, do you want to go?
One
that
that last statement is exactly what I wanted in my second relationship, right? Like, I just want somebody who I can just spend my time with, just be so happy, don't have to feel responsible to keep them happy. They're just happy in their own little world, and I'm just happy in my own little world, and we just like flutter around together. And what we have right now is just like so awesome. It's easy, it's natural, it's like it's effortless,
home.
really. It's home, and you're just
home.
yeah. And that's the thing, like, it doesn't feel like I have to work at it. Like, we just, and he'll do certain things to say, okay, I need some attention, and I'm very responsive to it, because it's not the come from is different, right? It's okay, so shift my focus, you have my attention now, like, like, what's up, what's going on, like, what did you work on today? And just, like, share in each other's moments. And yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I what you were saying, you in your world and he and his, I think some people judge when you look at a relationship and you're like, oh, they have their own lives. They're like, they should really be more together, and that's okay. Let somebody see that and say, that's not what I want. Okay, great. For me though, it's not about his life, my life, or not having, one life together in my future relationships. It's about me recognizing that I don't have to hold the burden of keeping someone else happy. Yeah. Yes, I want them happy. Yes, yeah. I want to be a part of why they're happy. There is nothing about my desire for their happiness to be there and me being a part of it, I don't have to be responsible when they are unhappy. I don't have to take on the load that I have to fix whatever's going on for them internally. I can show up however I choose to show up and support. And if I'm not the right one for them, then we can say this doesn't work. Again, just such a lesson for me. And it came from the not relationship. I learned about my relationships from choosing to not have a relationship. I wonder who else is going through that. And I just, so again, that my relationship with my second ex-husband taught me that a lot of why our relationship wasn't working was my own internal dialogue. And then he, I'm sure, had his own, that he had his own dialogue about me. So, yeah.
Did you find that your love affair allowed you to heal some of the past trauma, or did you find that, like, because I'm hearing that your second one did, like, you've been able to hear some of the dysfunction because now you're finding solutions to things that would have been blocks in your journey before. That last one, when you then decided, no, this is what really makes sense, is that like a failing forward moment where you are, like, what did you get from that last? Well, I love how you call it a love affair. So I'll just stick with that.
Well, come on, you were on Team Tim.
I was on Team Tim 100%. I was on Team Tim in the beginning.
So, yeah, in the beginning, because it was a love affair.
It was a love affair. It looked great.
Other description for that.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm not going to blame him by any means. We could have been, and that's okay that we're not. So, oh gosh, did I learn from that one?
Yeah,
I learned so much, and I'm never going to say I regret it, because I did learn a lot. It was just really, really hard to admit what I was willing to do to attempt to have this relationship, the comfort of another income, the comfort of the man that I've always dreamed of, what I was willing to do. And that's just, I was mad at myself. I was mad that I was willing to set aside so much that was important to me to have that right away. And I could have handled it differently. And that's okay.
It is okay.
I forgive myself.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I love how, it really does speak to your commitment to making things work and what you're willing to do. However, it's like, we talk about this, Leigh-Anne, like, what are the baselines that you need in order to live this great life? And there's certain things that we're not willing to sacrifice. And I think as single moms who have this, I'm going to call it a void, even though I don't personally think it's a void, but just for the sake of the conversation, this void that when you fill it and you don't want to let go of it, what you're willing to sacrifice. And I have to say, with, again, this do-over that you get to do, right, is like, you don't have to do that again. And what's beautiful is you were able to restore and amplify what you had with your ex. Like, look where you are now.
Yeah.
And now you're like, and I'm not going to give this up. Like, you either have to move in here or we have to create another. I love the idea of nest. Like, we had this conversation at one point and I was like, we would never really live here. Like, we would have to go and build something else somewhere else. And this is her spot. Like,
exactly.
I'm pretty clear about that. Like, I can create great things with very many different people. This is her safe zone. Right. And so, I love that you were able to get really clear on that. And so, how did you forgive yourself, and what does that look like? Because does it come back up? Because I know for me, it's like, I'll be doing really, really well. I'll have a running, passing thought, and it's like, all of a sudden, I want to have another, like, I'm having a recurring thing until it finally goes away into nothingness. Or does it ever really go into nothingness, I guess?
So I get to thank the universe or thank myself for manifesting. I want big change and I want it all at once.
Yeah.
It was, I honestly don't know how I made it through. I really don't. I don't know how I made it through. 2018 was likely the most tumultuous year I could possibly have had ever, is what it feels like. And the amount of time that I spent looking at myself and my own choices and what I could do to heal, and what I could do to be better for myself and better for my children, that was the best lesson. I said it. It was a very expensive experience, but the lessons were priceless. I could never pay enough for what I learned in that year. And
Wow.
I had set a goal to like be recovered financially, maybe emotionally, for 5 years from then, you know?
Yeah.
And today I'm sitting in a home in California that I purchased on my own as a single mother, remodeled it. It's everything that my children need, right? More than they actually desire. It's everything that they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's literally just now 2 years. It's only been 2 years. I can't even fathom the fact that my annulment is 2 years ago. Like,
Wow.
how did I do that? How did I recover like that? I was literally like, do I file bankruptcy? Like, what am I supposed to do? And my daughter had a crisis, and it was just like so much. And here I am. I did it. I know that it was mindset. I know that it was, you've got to do this. I have no other choice. I am not going to let these stupid, and I say stupid, but in the moment, they weren't stupid. In retrospect, they weren't the smartest. I am not going to let those choices destroy me. I'm not going to even let those choices be something that ever allows me to not be proud of myself. I am going to turn this into something I learned. And so therefore I didn't fail.
I love it.
That's it. That's
You
totally
made a
it.
choice. You made a
Yeah.
choice. You made
Yeah.
a choice. So, in 2 years, in your elevator speech, what have you been able to do? What have you been able to do in 2 years that you thought it was going to take you 5?
Oh, I have, well, sorry. I literally drained every dollar I had in that relationship, every single dollar. In fact, went into debt in that relationship. So I am debt free, other than a mortgage, right? A house that's worth having. I am, again, in a home. My goal was to purchase a home. When I met him, I was going to purchase a home the next year. And then that all went out the window because of what happened. So I thought, okay, 5 years from now, I can buy a house. So I've bought a house in that 2 years. I have, my income actually is 6 times what it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 6 times what it was when I was with him. That's crazy.
Do you want a minute to celebrate what you've done in the last 2 years, girlfriend? Because I'm going to cry for you. Like, you're
Oh my
so
God.
waiting for us to celebrate what we've done. I think, have you taken time? Go ahead, Leigh-Anne.
Yeah, really incredible what you've done. And and I think there's still more on that list.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
There is.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter, I should have said first that my daughter that year, she took a bottle of pills, and I mean, we could have lost her. And that journey together with her and where she is today, and I know that it was digging deep, looking at everything about how I show up and what examples I was setting. And those aren't the reasons she took the pills. That isn't what I'm saying. However, recognizing what I needed to do to get to her, to help her see, that difficulties and traumas aren't worth allowing them to ruin us. Like she was just a little girl in a big world, and that world was scary and overwhelming for her, and she had a situation with a boy that didn't go the way that it should have, and she basically didn't know how to cope with that. And then social media and all of the different channels that you can get lost in as a young girl, it got her into a really bad place. So that's why she took the pills. And again, it has been, it was for about 19 months, a daily struggle to make sure that she wanted to stay here, that she wanted to be alive. And so while I was doing that, I was also building myself, because I needed to be the example. Nothing is going to stop me. I'm here for you, and I'm going to show you that even when things don't go your way, you can still rise. You can still show up to life. You can do all of those things. And it was not just for her. It was for me too. It was for me too. I need to show myself. But
yeah, I'm putting my hand up for that one too. Yeah, I'm putting my hand up for that. Yeah. Congratulations. I know that it's not easy to go through when you see your child draw for that, and you're like, you're like a kid.
Yeah.
When I think about the scope of what else is going to come in life, this is you're not a quitter. Like, no. we need to build that muscle now.
Yeah.
And coming from a more heart-centered space is like, again, what do they need, right? Roots.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, and it wasn't, yeah.
So there was a lot there, and that was the cohabitating. We cohabitated so that we were there with her no matter what. And
beautiful.
And I could still work and be, because I needed financially to support my family. I could still work and know that she was safe. And then I could, be there when I needed to be. It was just, there's a lot. And again, I honestly, I'm sitting here in this house. I've only been in here for 2 days, I think. And I'm just like, what's next? Like, what do I get to do next? I'm super awesome. Happy here. Yeah. And I'm going to love every minute of it. But I'm going to savor this, and I'm going to cherish this. And I also know that I still get to grow. I still get to do more than this. And that was one of the things that you triggered for me when we were talking about doing this topic, was journey and destination, and being where we are, and what was our North Star. My North Star during that was, I want her to love being alive, right? So one of the things that did change, I'll share this with you because it's vulnerable. I hated baby talk. I honestly, it would make me sick when kids would talk baby talk, because I'm like, you have a vocabulary, and and you have there's no sense in baby talk. I just don't, I don't understand it. But that was one of the things that I had to get past for her in her struggle. I knew she wanted to be a little girl. So she would baby talk to me. And I'm sure she was like, I'm not allowed to do this, so I'm going to challenge my mom because it drives her crazy, right? So I started baby talking back to her. And I swear it drives me crazy every time I do it. But I know that for her, it's a sign of unconditional, I will do anything for you, love.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
And my North Star was, I want her to be happy and love her life. And when she's telling me that she needs something, she baby talks to me. And it's usually something she really does want me to show up for her so that I hear it, because it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's crazy how you just then pivot and you're just like, all right, I hear you. I recognize this sign. I know what I'm going to be because I know what I want.
Right.
Right. And it just, I think that that's like the most important thing, is just like that coming back to, what do I really want? You know, how do I want my children to be? What kind of life do I want? And it just, every action just is lockstep from there forward.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
So
nice.
I think all of us get to remember to sit in our where we're at now and how much we have accomplished, and then also remember what else are we looking to create? What else are we looking to welcome into our lives, right?
We're not done.
Yeah.
That's
No.
for sure.
100%.
Just getting started.
100%.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
I know. Me too. Me too. Thank you for sharing though, Wendy. I know
Yeah,
that must have
Wendy.
been really, it's vulnerable. We put ourselves out there for the benefit of the audience, and in it we get to heal some of our stuff. So celebrate your wins, girlfriend. You're always asking us to do the same, and
Yeah.
it's a big
I shared that about my daughter because we had another mother local that had a similar situation. And one of my girlfriends who was aware of what I went through said, you need to call Wendy. And she's like, oh yeah, she's so positive, but that's not what I need right now. And she goes, no, you need to call Wendy. And she's like, why would I need to call Wendy? And sorry, my phone's ringing. And she goes, you have no idea. You need to call Wendy.
Right.
And because she didn't want to tell her, because our community didn't know what happened. It's not that I put on some happy face or anything, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me, chaos. I just looked for support where I needed it. And I drew support in my circle, and so we sat there and we talked, and she was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, so you just need to know you're not alone. Because I know the parts of me that felt I was alone, felt like I was the worst mother in the world. How could a child want to do this?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what had happened to her. I didn't know she had something happen. So I thought she was just breaking down because life was hard, And I'm not saying you can't break down because life's hard, you can, but she had an actual situation that triggered the breakdown. And she was trying to hold on, trying to get through that all by herself. Because she did something that she wasn't supposed to do, and that's when it happened. So she didn't want to say, I lied, and this happened. And so that's why she was taking it on all by herself.
Yeah. It is a lot. That's a lot to take on by yourself, especially at that age.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, when you baseline that track, it's like she was afraid to tell the truth, right? So it's like, are you coming from fear, what is it, scarcity or abundance? And it's important that we teach our children abundance from an early age. And I thank God that you have like a chance with her, because
right, we're so lucky.
It could have really gone the other way. Yeah.
And I think she now is getting to a place, and her little sister, unfortunately, we've really got to coach her more, that it's better to admit to doing something that you weren't supposed to do than to continue to lie or try and hide it. So
well, the good news is the older sister now can step in for all of the mean days when they have to share a room together.
I hate to do this, but this is a single mom thing, and nobody's answering the door. There's 7 people in the house, and I'm not kidding you. Nobody.
7 people in the house. 7 people in the house. I love it.
And nobody's answering the door. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
You guys, the people are trying to. Oh, sorry. No, it's okay.
No, sorry. I'll tell you.
Okay, that's okay. Come on in. Sorry, Cody. I was on a Zoom. Oh my God, you guys.
No, we're
this
good.
Is exactly what life is, right?
But I love that.
Yeah.
We're at
so
time.
As soon as I said that, they're like, yeah, we're doing it. Okay, well, you didn't.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
get
I
it to
didn't
work.
even.
We'll get it to work. Well,
Yeah, it's
it'll
all
all work
good.
out. Look, the value is there. I think people are going to hear, one, that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two, the way you're thinking, like get rid of the stinking thinking,
Yeah.
and like make
Mm,
sure you have a crew that is going to support you and what it is that you want, and be honest, whether it's
Yeah.
like, if they're telling you to go down a path and they care about you, you don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
And especially during these times, like we haven't even talked about people who have been impacted by
gosh.
just like the pandemic, right? Like
Yeah.
we're doing okay, but like what about everybody else who has other layers of stuff on top of that? And finance, we weren't even going to talk about that, but finances keeps coming back.
Yeah.
So
Can we cut for another, because I think we're on time,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So let's
Okay.
just call it. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leigh-Anne, for coming in. This has been like our longest, most deepest, most vulnerable share. And I look forward to all of your comments. And if you want to reach us and find out more, you can get the details on the page, and we'll be back. So join us
Yes,
again.
for sure.
Thank
Yes.
There's
you.
more
Okay.
for sure.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.